See, I've been with the company 21 years, and if you would have asked me 21 years ago, would you be the keynote at the Wine and Weed Symposium? It would be 100% no. George brought up a couple of good points there with looking at the percentage of the people in the crowd, be it wine, be it cannabis, competitor. We looked at it as an opportunity, right? And I think that part of my presentation today is going to be about opportunity. We chose not to look at it as a competitor. I think if you do, you're going to miss out on a few things. So, why cannabis? I also will say...
And we see some massive adoption happening both in the US with new markets coming online, but also internationally. In markets like Canada, we have full federal legalization, and you're starting to see some good adoption of medical markets in Europe and South America and other areas of the world that then will eventually adopt adult use cannabis, much like the California model.
But so far you've only seen a couple of the really big beverage companies making investments in the space, and meanwhile you've got an emergence of new categories like nut milks and probiotics. So what do you guys kind of project forward over the next 3 to 5 years in terms of the major 8 players kind of getting in?
I'm going to start with you because you're the wine guy here that's bravely stepped into this sort of unknown abyss, and just give us a little bit of idea, like how have you and your winery worked with the cannabis industry to increase your brand equity at your winery?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to start and say, first of all, it is limiting with regulation, and I know Omar's going to go into detail about that.
But it's always nice to have a comparison point. And this is a good reminder for everyone in this room. While those numbers are big and while the growth rates are big, alcohol is huge and a giant compared to what this legal marketplace is. So I don't want to say there's not a risk, because there is a risk, and we'll talk about what those risks are. But again, really important to remember the sheer size of the alcohol market in the US versus even where we're predicting cannabis to be.
And why packaging? Because of the 4 Ps in marketing, when it comes to an industry that's highly regulated like cannabis, packaging your product ends up being probably the single most important lever that a marketer, that a brand can pull. So that's what we're going to focus on.
So I'm wondering, what are some of the things that you're appreciating more about your experience as a woman in the cannabis industry versus your extensive time in the wine industry?
There are a lot of things. And I mean, even just looking out at this room, I think is one of them. There are so many women here, which I love, and I love celebrating. In my time in the wine world, I used to always call it dudes in suits, like just dudes in suits. And and just to see, yeah. So, no offense to the gentlemen out there. It's nice to see so many ladies.
I see a lot of opportunity, and what we're doing at Garden Society is the opportunity to build a business that has sort of a feminine-centric culture. So things like flexible schedules, part-time, having a work-life balance. I see a lot of opportunity there.
And that was a really interesting thing, is there's a constant need for senior level executives who are women in the industry to take these positions. However, we didn't give women the opportunity until the last 10, 15 years. So in cannabis, you can take that industry experience that you've learned in wine or spirits or beer, and it's so relatable in terms of the regulatory and all of the things you need to be able to do. You're resilient. You can spin on a dime. Oh, that state won't let me do that. So how else can I be creative and make this program work?